All right, live here tonight, a little bit later than usual on the American Sim Network, and we're broadcasting WFO Racing League once again. We usually broadcast this league, folks, but not usually on this YouTube channel. We are broadcasting it here because the normal YouTube channel we broadcast this on, for some reason, decided to not work for us tonight. But nevertheless, we are live, getting ready to go racing. I'm Matt Egan, joined by Jacob Young. This, of course, is the final race before we crown champion at Phoenix next week. 4 drivers make the field in that race. So it'll be interesting to see which 4 drivers show up to that. Show up as the champion contenders, I should say. Take a look at your starting lineup here. Before we do, Jacob, what do you expect to see out of this race? All right, so here's your starting lineup. Row 1, Richard Holland, Michael Overstreet. Michael Overstreet actually making his league debut tonight. Hal Amy, Ricky Fagone, row 2. Row 3, Michael Henry, Joseph Andujar. Another pretty good set of drivers right there. Row 4, Aiden Young, Burt Wilson. Row 5, Jared Cox, Corey Cook. Row 6, Jeff Martin, Adam McKinney, Steve Seegers, Trent Ripley. Row 7, row 8, Artie Peterson, John Senu. Row 9, Stephen Blankenship, Ryan Daniels, Brandon Wenning, and Glenn Jameson. Row 10, Wenning, another driver making his league debut tonight. And Derek Robinson, Garrett Hemlinger, Tim Hamlet, Tyner, I think that's Tyler or Tynow, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Richardson, rounding out your field, and he is another driver making his league debut. So all in all, 3 drivers making their first start in the WFO Racing League here tonight. So it'll be interesting to see. I think this is a good track to make your first league start at. Yeah, that is for sure. I think this will be a good race here tonight. Not just because of the championship, contention for a lot of these guys, but because quite a few of them, are making their first start. I think that'll be fun to watch these new drivers, new to the league drivers, get out there and mix it up with the league veterans. And, of course, one of them starting really right there up in the front of the field, starting second place. That's pretty impressive there. Pace car down. Here we go, folks. The green flag is out, and we're racing here from Texas Motor Speedway. And they'll make their first run down into turns 1 and 2. A very wide turn 1 and 2 here at Texas. It was widened a few years back. So these guys have a lot of racing room now compared to in years past when we've come to this track. I think that's going to give us a little bit of more exciting racing here in these corners here, Jacob. But I don't think we're going to see that till the night gets on, a little bit later on in the evening. Yeah, Hal Amy does. He'll take second place right away from the 93 Michael Overstreet. And Hal Amy has won, I think, one race in his career here at WFO Racing. And I tell you what, man, every time we watch him, because I wasn't able to see him win his race. I wasn't broadcasting that race. But every time we watch him, I tell you what, he's always good. He's always a consistent driver, and he's had performances where he's come close to winning. I know we're only 4 laps into the race, but he's challenging for second place. I tell you what, he's got a really fast race car. It looks like he's actually lapping only about not even a full 10th off of Richard Holland, maybe half a 10th off of Richard Holland. So, you know, I think tonight might be another one of those nights where we potentially see Hal go to victory lane. And if I recall correctly, his first win did come at Homestead. His first and only win to date has come at Homestead Miami Speedway. And similar style racetrack, 1.5 mile speedway. Yeah, and he's got a really good race car. But the big thing here, Jacob, we're early into this race still. He has got to make sure not to chew that car up. And yeah, his only win to date has come at Homestead Miami. But that's going to be the big thing there, is just not chewing up that race car. And actually, I need to correct myself. I'm sorry there, folks. Hal does have 2 wins in this K&N car. He had a second win in Season 4. That came at Chicagoland. So I do apologize, and I do correct myself. Hal actually does have 2 wins, and he got his second win at Chicago last season. Looking for win number 3 in his career here tonight. Yeah, that is for sure. And take a little further look back there. Look at Aiden Young, 4th place driver, just getting around his teammate there, Joseph Andujar. Now, remember, here's the thing. Aiden Young, not in contention for this championship. Neither is Joseph Andujar, but their one teammate, Artie Peterson, who is all the way back there in 13th place. He is in contention for this championship, and he is in a must-win situation, 17 points back of the cut line. So he has got a lot of ground to make up here tonight, Jacob, if he wants to get into that Final Four. And unfortunately, that lot of ground, he has to go to victory lane for it. Ryan Daniels is 11 points back. He's 16th place right now. He's in a pretty similar situation. I don't want to say it's a guarantee must-win situation for Ryan, but it's pretty close to it. He needs to finish probably top 5 or better. I'd say really a podium. And he needs to hope Jared Cox, the current 4th place driver in the standings, has a really, really bad night. And right now, it doesn't look like Jared's having one. He's 8th place, and we're 11 laps into this race. Yeah, that is for sure. Road America was a hard race on a lot of these guys, and a hard race on a lot of these regular guys as well. These guys that, you know, consistently have good races. When they go to a racetrack like Road America and it's a complete, you know, you flip everything they know basically on that upside down, it's going to change how the points shake out. And we saw a lot of drivers do well, and we saw a lot of drivers do not so well. Of course, Ricky Fagone winning there helps him, you know, advancing him into that Final Four. Yeah, Hal Amy back down to 5th at the moment as we are working lap 16 of this race. And, you know, Michael Overstreet having a great run. Again, his first race in this league. 3rd place right now. Aiden Young currently running 2nd. And what a shame for Aiden Young. You know, not in this points battle. He had a bad run. I forgot what track it was at, but you know, he just wasn't able to quite get into the chase. But he is doing a great job running there in 2nd place. And what an upset it would be. I don't necessarily know if it would be an upset or not, but what a upset to those chase drivers it would be if Aiden Young wins the race. Yeah, that is for sure. As we're closing in on 100 laps to go here, about 20 laps into this race. And you notice everyone's kind of gotten spread out. We got a group of 3 drivers here. Jeff Martin with Hal Amy, Joseph Andujar. The question is, Jacob, do you expect to see a lot of cautions here tonight? I really don't. I think we're going to see maybe 1 or 2, but for the most part, we're going to go green. Hal Amy just tagged the outside wall coming off of turn number 2. Looks like that car got tight, and that leads me to my next contention. Texas, it's a new surface. Tire wear is kind of going to be an unknown here. These guys have never brought these cars to this track. They've gone to Kansas, which, again, the only reason I bring that up is because when iRacing scanned Kansas, it was a pretty new surface then. So they've kind of gotten to Kansas, kind of similar deal, but they haven't been to Texas yet, and I feel like the tire wear is going to be a complete unknown right now. And you see how it got tight that one corner. I wonder if he burned out the tires a little too quickly. He falls back to 12th in front of John Senu. Artie Peterson Artie Peterson will be happy if he can get by Senu and maybe pick off that 3 car as well, because let's not forget Peterson in that must-win situation here tonight. Yeah, well, you know, John, I wouldn't say struggling. I'd say John Senu is a very experienced driver. Not only is he experienced, his experience racing around these guys probably picked up a few tips from Vern Bradley and other guys, some of these great drivers that have come through this league. And Senu just kind of knows a little bit more than Artie does. I wouldn't necessarily say Artie's struggling. I just think Senu knows a little bit more. Because you see the speed in Artie's race car as well. There's undeniable speed in that number 1 machine. Because he's been slowly picking him up and laying him down. It's just been taking him a little bit more time. Looks like Jeff Martin, the first driver to hit the pits. About 30 laps, I guess, would be the expected fuel run. We're 27 in. So maybe an early pit stop out of Jeff Martin, kicking things off. Richard Holland, still your race leader. That 94 car going a lap down. That is Tyner Richardson. Again, one of the new drivers in this league. So he's making his debut start tonight. And I got to say, you know what? For Richardson here right now, I think he's doing a pretty good job. And I know he's gone a lap down 30 laps into this race, or 28 laps into this race, running 20th place. But you know what? I still say he's doing a good job, because here's the thing, Jacob. He's keeping that car clean. He's logging laps. And, yeah, you know what? Maybe he's not the fastest right now. Maybe he's not logging the fastest laps. But I'm looking at his stats here, and maybe he's new to iRacing. He's got D-Class license, you know, a little bit lower I rating. But he's a clean driver, and that's the important thing. Because you can learn to be fast, but the first thing you have to do is you have to be clean. Because speed doesn't mean anything if you're wrecking the car every 3 laps. And right now, he's got the car pretty clean. Yeah. Yeah, and I tell you what, he's racing against some of the best drivers in this National Series car. These guys know everything there is to know about this car, and if he sticks around here, he will learn it. And I tell you what, just watching him, you can tell he'll be a fast driver once he races around these guys for a little while longer and maybe picks up some of their tricks. Because, you know, you look at his lap times, he's not that far off the drivers he's racing around towards that middle half of the field there. Yeah, it looks like everyone except, I think, Burt Wilson just finishing up his stop as I speak. So everyone has come down pit lane now. Trent Ripley, Burt Wilson out and away. Richard Holland holds on to his race lead after his stop. That's not too surprising, honestly. Holland's just been fast all night, and that continues on to pit lane. He has led 30 out of the 33 laps we've completed here. And again, I can't say that's too surprising. And apparently we're having another issue where they can only hear me. So that's wonderful. Let's get this sorted out.
All right, here at Texas Motor Speedway, the race has been fantastic so far. And just looking at it, Jared Cox up in 4th position, so that's going to be a key thing for him. He's looking forward to making it to this Final Four, and that's exactly what he's had to do, just gain some time. And 4th place looks like he's got a car to beat as well, just to get in that top 5. Looking at this battle right now, Aiden Henry at the moment, and it looks like, actually, I'm gonna make sure, yes, indeed, that is Michael Henry. He's right on the bumper of Aiden Young. It looks like he won't make a move just yet, so he looks like he'll ride right behind him, and that's going to be a key situation. Of course, you don't want to burn off your tires right after you, of course, have pitted. It's a fantastic run for the 13 team as he sits in 6th place. The top 10 finish, of course, is not bad here, especially at Texas Motor Speedway. All
right, so now we've got Jacob's audio working now. I apologize for that, folks. About 40 laps into this race. You know, I tell you what, tonight has just been the night of problems. First, of course, YouTube being YouTube as usual, and then YouTube servers not working. And this time it's just an issue with Streamlabs being weird. It doesn't want to detect the normal audio setup, so now we got to go to like this weird headphone setup thing. But it's working now, and we've got audio. That's the important thing. And don't worry, I wasn't crazy. And I wasn't talking to myself for the first 40 laps. Jacob has been here the whole time. And pretty much anything that he said in response to me, you can rest assured, was very interesting and very insightful commentary, as per the usual. That being said, we are back to the racing, and Aiden Young has been having a great night here in 5th place. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, most definitely, for sure. It's himself in 5th position. He has gained a little bit of speed here, especially from Michael Henry was right on his back bumper after that caution, or after the green flag pit stops, excuse me. So, yeah, Aiden Young looking to pick off a couple of lapped cars and try to catch Jared Cox.
Glenn Jamieson right now looks like he's also going for a pass for position. Although, I wonder if that's actually for position. That might not be. No, he is 3 laps down. Man, that's got to be rough for Glenn right there, Jacob. He is 3 laps down, but he's running faster than that 15 car.
Yeah, exactly. Bad luck at the start of the race for sure. And you talk about his lap times. It's been looking really good. Having a car that's that fast, I know how that feels because, well, Racing NIS, it's that same deal. Sometimes you have a fast race car, then your internet poops out, or you get a black flag for passing somebody who was about to wreck right in front of you before the green flag. So, yeah, just some bad luck. And, of course, one probably is one person who is begging for a yellow.
Yeah, and speaking of which, there you go. First one of the evening. I think it was Tyner Richardson. And yeah, it was. He was... Looks like he tags the apron there. And yep, you got the apron. And Trent Ripley as well. A little bit of contact, but not too much damage on the back of that 94 car. So he should be able to keep on going once he gets it towed. He unfortunately looks like he'll have to get a tow. Richard Holland will be your race leader. We will be right back. Back live here, Jacob Young gonna call the green flag. 46 out of 124 laps have been complete.
All right, should be an exciting restart here. Richard Holland to lead us to the green. From coming down into pit lane. Ricky Fagone on his outside, and then Michael Overstreet right behind him. That's your top three. Back racing here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, good start there by Richard Holland. He got out and away incredibly well. Ricky Fagone, though, I tell you what, he's got a good shot at this race potentially if he can make something happen. You know, he's got 77 laps. It's a lot of racing left still.
Still plenty of racing to go, but of course, we went on a long green flag run there as we already had one green flag pit stop, so that's a big thing. A lot of time basically has been taken away from this race. We're coming up on lap 50 just about. We're on lap number 48, but yes, still plenty of racing to go. Over 77 laps, well, over 70 laps still to play with.
Yeah, that is for sure. And right now, look at third place. Michael Overstreet again, first night racing in WFO. And I tell you what, he has already shown his talent to everyone else. And I think next season will be a real interesting competitor to watch.
Very true indeed. Does look like he's got a lot of pace even this race, of course. You know, like we keep saying, bad luck struck him, but he's just learning. And that is a key thing. He's going to learn at, of course, a 1.5 mile racetrack. And if he's back next week, it's going to be at a short track, which basically that's where these drivers go. 1.5 miles to short tracks are their bread and butter. Of course, they go to Michigan sometimes too, and Talladega and Daytona. But other than that, it's a lot of 1.5 miles and a lot of short tracks, which is always fun to watch these cars race at.
Yeah, and, you know, even on short tracks, I got a feeling he'll be good because I tell you what, on this track, he's made very few mistakes. Another driver starting to climb back towards the front of the field. Hal Amy back up to 6th now after that caution, after getting some of the damage fixed on the right side of his car. So good to see him moving back up to the field. I think right now he's going to have to just worry about his tires, you know?
Exactly. He's got to conserve more of his tires to make sure that his car doesn't get as tight as it probably did on that first run. Or as long as, of course, the car starts to get really tight, it's close to the end of the run more than it's close to the middle of the run, because that can be very stressful running with a tight race car where all it wants to do is slide up the racetrack on turn 1 exit, because it is still very possible to hit the wall in turn 1, even though they have widened that track. They've widened that turnout basically. So yeah, very important for him to save his tires, and even so, that might even be able to save his fuel too.
Well, the thing is, they widened the turn, but they didn't really widen the corner exit. The straightaways are the same here at Texas, and really the corners just got a bit wider, you know? So I think that's the big thing there, is the exits are still very similar.
Exactly. I would have to definitely agree with you on that. So just like I said, the car slides up just a little bit. It's the same deal. It's going to hit that exit, and especially where the safer barriers kind of pop out at you too, which is always a key place at racetracks like Texas, like Bristol. It's just very difficult to avoid those sometimes.
Yeah, Richard Holland, though, just doing a great job still leading the show. I tell you what, I wonder if, if anyone will be able to challenge him. I think it's going to be that second place car. At the moment, I really just don't see anyone else being able to do it. As we take a look back, look at Adam McKinney battling around Burt Wilson, Corey Cook, Derek Robinson. This is an interesting battle here, Jacob.
Most Definitely is as well. I mean, a lot of drivers are single file except for that group. They're just very close together, and some of them, of course, running the middle line.
Oh,
One
that's
driver did
Derek
get a little
Robinson.
loose.
No, that was Corey Cook, rather, but he saved it. But he will fall quite a ways back.
I'd say it's better to fall back than, of course, to fall back because he got damaged. He doesn't necessarily have any damage besides maybe some scrubbed up tires, but that could maybe help him in that long run. Of course, you don't want to use any tire wear, but that's a good job by Cook to save the race car and not make matters worse.
Yeah, so right there, you know, and the other interesting thing you notice, he didn't really get any damage out of that, so the car, minus, like you said, a little bit extra tire wear, the car's pretty much still in one piece, which is the big thing.
Exactly. Huge thing for that to save that car and to make sure that he could keep going as well. Yeah, he's got basically no damage. Now looking at this battle brewing in that same pack, it looked like for a while the one car came here. Artie Peterson working on the 14.
Yep, that's Jeff Martin ahead of him.
It looked like they were closing in for a little bit as I saw one car right behind him hit the wall, scraped the wall for a bit, and was able to get off of it, and we're going to stay green.
Yeah, and the thing here with Artie Peterson, again, a very close to being must-win situation. He's running 10th with about 66 laps to go. He's doing a pretty good job right now, I'd say, in that 10th spot. And he's had a consistent run all night. And that's the big thing right there.
Yeah, exactly. Consistency has been key for
But the problem
you don't
is,
have to win. He's just got to gain spots.
Yeah, well, the problem is consistency is key, but I don't know if consistency is going to be enough for that number one team. I really think he's going to have to win this race. Look at Steve Seegers. We haven't really talked about him tonight either, but he's having a pretty good night in 11th place as well.
Exactly, 11th position. He's fighting with that group right there, trying to gain as many positions as possible because you would want that top 10 to close to even a top 5, but that would be very challenging. He's in a good spot at the moment. We still know that there's at least 2 more pit stops under green flag conditions. If there are caution flags, of course, these drivers will be wanting 4 fresh Goodyear tires and some Sunoco racing fuel to try and make it to the end of this race in any means. Of course, that will just help their strategy out and help them out for sure.
So right now, 62 laps in, 63 to go. Richard Holland, he leads, but I tell you what, Jacob, take a look at it. It's not by much.
And no, he is not leading by a lot. It's about, like 0.3 gap. I mean, Ricky Fagonde is right there to try and take it away, but it just looks like they're basically breaking away and making it a 2-horse race for this race win.
And that being a 2-man race, however you want to refer to it, I think with green flag pit stops, that's what race is really going to come down to then. Who has the better pit stop?
Exactly. I think you're probably right on that. It's going to be key for strategy. You have to make it down pit lane perfectly. And I think what Richard Holland will have to do is go into pit lane on the same lap as Ricky Fagonde, because I think if Ricky Fagonde undercuts him, it's going to work out a treat for Fagonde.
And right now, 65 laps in, everyone, as we said, just getting spread out. I think that's just the nature of this racetrack. It's an, again, newer surface, so these guys don't stay bunched together. Though you go a little further back, look at this. John Senu, Derek Robinson. Looks like John Senu's starting to fall back a little bit.
Exactly. It's getting to that point where it's a little bit close to the mid stint for these drivers and their tires. So it's all about, did you push your race car a little too much on this early going? Yeah, it looks like, I believe Senu has a little bit of damage on his right side, like he did scrape the wall. So that could be a case of why he's kind of fallen back.
And you can see Ryan Daniels. I tell you what, Ryan Daniels came into this race. He was looking hopeful to move his way up into the round. He has not had a good night. I don't think we've seen that 00 car crack the top 10 here tonight.
No, we have not just yet. His PS Yoda, as of course that's what it says on his race car, has not been able to crack that top 10. The problem is, yeah, he's falling back a little bit. He can't necessarily catch that pack that's right in front of him. That's about 3 to 4 cars. And that would be huge, as I believe they are wrecking in front.
Yes, they are. It is John Senu. And just as pit stops are starting, Trent Ripley just drove right into Senu. A little bit of contact. And Senu on the receiving end. He's got a heavy amount of damage on the front end of that car. And his hood's up. So that's not good. But yeah, Ryan Daniels, you know, that UPS car, I hate to say, a bit of bad luck. Because that's Dale Jarrett's car. And remember, Jacob, he ran that when he raced with Michael Waltrip Racing towards the end of his career. And let's not forget, when Dale Jarrett raced that car, he A, ran in the back, and B, DNF'd for a lot of races, or DNQ'd and DNF'd quite a bit. So I wonder, you know, I'm not a superstitious person, but maybe not the most lucky race car to be running when you're running for a championship, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It is a beautiful paint scheme. Sure, I probably understand why he was racing it, but yeah, he needed to find a little bit of extra speed out of it. I don't think that was the correct paint scheme to necessarily run if he wanted that, but of course that's all with superstition and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure it's just a tough racetrack. Still, drivers haven't necessarily gained a lot of knowledge with this, even from racing the Cup cars to Xfinity cars that one time. They'll come back to it in the actual NASCAR schedule sooner, in probably November once the chase starts. But other than that, yes, it's just new to these race drivers on iRacing.
Yeah, and again, bear in mind what we say with the paint schemes is, you know, paint scheme being lucky, unlucky. That's not really a truth or anything. That's just kind of, you know, I'd say fun speculation if you believe in superstition. If you want to get into that, whether or not a paint scheme can be lucky or unlucky, leave your thoughts in the comments below or in the live chat if you're watching this live. I'd love to hear what your take is on whether or not a car can be unlucky or not. I think it certainly can be. I always say if you're going to Daytona or Talladega, the best car to run is a black number 3. As you know, that car always tended to find victory lane there. Or a Budweiser car, something to that effect. And if you're running for a championship, well, you might just want to slap a Lowe's logo on that car because they know how to get it done 7 times. We'll be right back on American Sim Network. Richard Holland, your race leader. Back live here, Jacob Young calling the green, 52 laps to go.
Would be a very exciting restart indeed. Looks like it's going to be Ricky Fagon to take the green flag. He chooses the outside line there. Pace car down and away. And we're back racing here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Good restart there for Ricky Fagon. I think that's probably the best jump he's gotten all night, as he got out and away pretty impressively, but not quite enough to stay to the back door of Richard Holland. But he's got 52 laps to figure it out and one more pit stop. The question is here, do you think there will be one more pit stop or no? Or I should say, do you think it'll be under green rather? We know it's going to be one more pit stop. They can't stretch it 50 laps.
I think it might be under green for sure, but just like I said, cautions, of course, breed cautions a little bit, just like that. But as, of course, these drivers do single file, of course, just like the nature of this racetrack will probably come into play, and I think we'll have some green flag pit stops, or right as we start to have green flag pit stops, just like this last caution, we might have it right in the middle of cycling, so that could potentially be a big problem.
Yeah, right here, just 75 laps in, and Aiden Young finally turning up the heat again. Not a chase driver, mind you, but I tell you what, he is putting on quite an impressive show. Looking for the race lead. He trying to get by Ricky right now for second, though.
Exactly. That's the toughest part, is getting, of course, right by him. He hasn't necessarily been in second place. He's been in second place a little bit at the start of the race, but that was before Ricky Fagon passed him for second. So this is going to be very difficult. He doesn't want to use up his tires too early because, of course, he still wants to have something left to try to catch the 31 car of Richard Holland before, of course, pit stops cycle back once again.
So right now, 76 laps in, under 50 to go. Jeff T. Martin back there in 7th. Joseph Andujar leads that group. Derek Robinson, Burt Wilson, Jared Cox. Now, Jared Cox has been running around Burt Wilson a lot here. Looks like Wilson finally going to get by him. And there's the pass by Burt Wilson. So Burt Wilson starting to move his way up. If his connection holds steady, he'll be getting up to about, was at 12th place with that pass.
His connection does not look too good, trying to, of course, find him on the relative, and I don't believe I could even get to him because that's how bad the connection is. It's only a matter of time before he gets the throughput penalty, I believe, from iRacing, if, of course, his connection does not hold, which it still doesn't look like it is.
Well, I mean, it's a quick blink in and out. It's not like holding out for 5 seconds, so I think he's not quite at risk of getting the throughput, but definitely not stable like it should be. Adam McKinney, Trent Ripley battling for position. This will be 17th place. McKinney takes it. Here's the real battle, though. Look at Michael Overstreet, or Michael Henry, and Joseph Andujar.
This battle is heating up for sure. He's trying to have an opportunity here right behind them too. It looks like, yeah, Joseph side by side, they're trying to make things work. I believe, well, is that for position? I'm not necessarily sure, but that's going to play a big factor into it. Slides up the racetrack, and the 14 car is going to almost have nowhere to go. They're really racing aggressively as the time, well, as there's only so much racing left here tonight.
Yeah, still 44 laps. That's a good amount of racing left. But I tell you what, for Joseph Andujar, or rather Artie Peterson, 7th place, he's been moving up slowly through the field. I think he's got to get moving a little bit quicker. 43 laps, it's a lot of time, but if he's going to win this race, he's really got to put the moves on now.
Exactly. Of course, you can only go so fast here without burning up the right side tires too much, and that's the key. Of course, these cars can have a flat tire, so that's going to have to play a factor into how he decides to drive this race car. So yeah, just like you said, he's got to make up the moves as fast as possible.
And right behind him, Steve Seegers again has been having a very consistent night. We'll roll in car with Steve Seegers. You look up at the sky now, Jacob, and it has been this way for quite a little while now. It has been completely dark, and the lap times have kind of gone down, and the track's definitely been more grippy here.
Most definitely has, and the track temperature too is staying at a solid 81 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is a fantastic temperature for these racers to really just get those lap times in. That's going to help with tire wear too. It's not an abrasive racetrack. It's cooler, so it's just going to help them out a ton. And it's perfect.
Steve
They've been running a lot of green flag laps. I just saw that too.
We were in car with Seegers on that one, and I thought we were going to see Andujar go for a ride, but Seegers and him luckily let go of each other, but he falls back, and falls back quite a significant distance back to 13th place.
Exactly, a little bit of bad luck there, but that's what happens when you're racing close to that tri-oval, or of course the dogleg, whatever you really want to call it there. But it doesn't look like he lost too many positions and a lot of time, because he is really starting to reel them back in.
Yeah, it is side by side for position here. These four drivers are Corey Cook. Looks like he'll get by. I think that's Derek Robinson on the high line. Burt Wilson in tow. Seegers and Hal Amy battle it out for position now. Hal Amy trying to get back to the top 10. You know, he's had a bit of an up and down night. I don't think we've seen him lower than 15th, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's just been a struggle for him to get inside that top 10 and really just... The good thing is he's not losing positions too. He's just staying very consistent, and that's a good thing, but not when you're necessarily racing for a chance at a Final Four spot.
And right now, 88 laps in. We're closing in on that final round of pit stops. And the $1 million, well, the $2 million questions. Does Richard Holland, A, succeed in holding on to the lead on green flag pit stops? And B, do we get a caution and nullify green flag pit stops?
Exactly, that's going to be tough. It's a great question for sure. But I believe, yeah, there's still at least one more caution. And I still believe that it's going to happen right as green flag pit stops begin, because that's normally when we've seen the caution so far tonight has been the start, and closer to, of course, the end of green flag pit stops have been those past two cautions for tonight. And I do believe, or maybe we've had three, but I do believe that that's when we'll probably see that caution is halfway through or so the green flag pit stops.
And side by side, Derek Robinson, Jeff T. Martin still. And, you know, Derek Robinson, there's a driver that has improved a lot this season. And, you know, he started 21st here tonight, Jacob, up to now 10th, looking for a top 10. If he really gets lucky, potentially a top 5 finish, rather. And you look at his average start, 18th. His average finish is 12th. And look at where he started the season. He was consistent. He finished 20th at Daytona, 28th at Dover, and then Michigan. It turns around. He finishes 12th, third place, wins at Talladega, and 13th at Road America. He has been having a great season after the first few races he ran.
for sure. That is a huge improvement indeed, and that's what this league and what racing is all about. You want to see that improvement from yourself. You want other drivers to take notice too, because well, it just proves that you're improving and you're ready for maybe, of course, next season. You're ready to try and take it to the Final Four next season, and it's all about that momentum gained and the skill gained. It just feels so good. I know that I did that kind of last year with the way that the race cars felt in NIS, and so it's just a phenomenal feeling, and I'm glad to see that that's exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, and right now, closing in on that final round of pit stops, you notice Corey Cook trying to get by Burt Wilson. And, you know, it's interesting to see him racing so hard because they're going to be pitting in 2 minutes or so.
Exactly, and that's probably why they're trying to race those outlaps to be as good as possible. So you talked about it being close to 2 minutes. Yes, of course, these lap times are less than a minute long here at Texas, but you still want to gain some times to make sure that you're giving it everything you got on this last stint to make sure, of course, that, yes, that's why you save tires.
And you can see Corey Cook there, unfortunately, gets hard into that outside wall. John Senu is he's gonna make contact with him. I was gonna say Senu's gonna have to go way low to avoid him, and well, he did not. He just right up into the back of him, gave him a little bit of a nudge. So right now, John Senu, Corey Cook, that might be a little bit of bad blood between these two drivers after that. What do you think?
Very possible that he has that it might spoil over to the next race for sure. But of course, yeah, it's something that it was just hard racing in my opinion, but that's something that you don't want to see.
And you can see Hal Amy there stuck on that high lane. Looks like he might be falling back just a little bit. And we got Corey Cook hard around. Oh, I think that was one of the new drivers that just got a piece of that. Nowhere for him to go and all that. So Corey Cook got turned, looks like contact with Steve Seegers. And then the driver that makes contact with him was that 7-Eleven car. And that was, again, one of the new drivers to the league, Brendan Wenning. And unfortunately, not a good first night. I mean, it was a good first night up until that point. So we'll be right back on ASN. Richard Holland leads, under 30 to go. 24 laps to go when we go green. Jacob Young getting us with the green flag.
Be a great restart once again here. Richard Holland to lead us to the green, as of course Ricky Fagone on his outside. Aiden Young in third place will be on the inside line as he blinks out a little bit, but either way, pace car down and away. We're back racing here at Texas Motor Speedway, and another great start by Richard Holland. But look at that, almost equals amount is Ricky Fagone.
Yeah, Fagone had a great restart there, but the question is, can he have a great 24 laps? And that's going to be the hard thing. Do you think he'll be able to actually get past Richard Holland?
That's going to be a question indeed.
Well, caution's
Caution
out.
Caution back in the air.
It'll be less than 20 laps to go when we go green. Steven Blankenship. Looks like Blankenship tags the wall, tags it. Well, he tagged the wall, got around. Man, bad luck for Tynell Richardson. Second wreck he's been in, and second wreck he's been in again, not of his own doing. Blankenship's car was out of control and just right up into his nose. So we'll be right back once again. Caution flag stays out. Jacob Young calling the green. Just a handful of laps to go when we take it.
Exactly. It's going to be a very interesting final few laps here tonight at none other than Texas Motor Speedway to get ready to go back racing. Pace car down and away here at Texas Motor Speedway. Racing now. A great restart from the 31 of Richard Holland as he goes a little early, but perfect timing for him.
So, yeah, Richard Holland with a fantastic restart and just a great run in general. They are 3 wide, by the way. Look like down the back straightaway. I think that was Steve Seegers getting 3 wide with everyone else. So Seegers there, 13th place, trying to get back to the front of the top 10. Artie Peterson in 8th, trying to hold on to the top 10. So it'll be interesting to see, do you think Artie will keep his top 10? Burt Wilson, his connection is steadied out. I tell you what, I think Burt's a good competitor for a top 5 spot right now.
Definitely is right now. I mean, you talked about it. Artie Peterson having to defend a little bit. He decides to choose the outside line. That's going to leave space for, I believe, that is Robinson on the inside. If not, that's Adam McKinney. Actually, yeah, I believe that's Adam McKinney. But either way, look at that. In 7th position. Looks like he's going to clear him on the inside as Artie Peterson gets a little loose.
Yep, that's Derek Robinson, 6th place now. And Robinson, like we said, has been having a great string of runs these last few weeks. Joseph Andujar as well has been doing pretty well. Andujar not won in a little while. I think he has won this season, though, hasn't he?
I believe he has, but it might have been early on in the season. But talk about a great race tonight here. He might not have been on the winning foot for tonight or a lot of races this season, but he's been up there. He's had opportunities to definitely get it done.
And you see right there, 3 wide down the backstretch for a moment. John Senu tagging the wall, I think. I think that's why they were 3 wide. Drivers trying to get around Senu. As he'll fall back to 15th, 14 laps to go. Remember, this is the second to last race this season. Richard Holland en route to going to victory lane. I don't know if anyone will stop him. What do you think here?
It's going to be very difficult indeed. There's still a possibility, but it's going, like I said, it's going to be very, very interesting or just tough for any driver to really do that.
And you can see Aiden Young, though. If anyone, I think Ricky's got a good chance, but I think Aiden's got a pretty good chance as well. Caution flag back out. Man, these guys race it clean for what, 30 lap intervals in the beginning now, but I think they see, they see 13 laps to go, so everyone's going full send, and unfortunately it winds up that they go full send into each other. Joseph Andujar looks like he started that chain of events. Yep, Andujar tags Adam McKinney. Steve, was 16 there as well. Steve Seegers. And you can see back straightaway looking a bit more like a junkyard than a racetrack. Corey Cook, John Senu, the 89, another rookie driver. Man, he just got caught up in that, again, not of his own, not through any fault of his own. But yeah, I mean, 12 laps to go, everyone goes full send. And this is the things that happens. We'll go caution flag again. And with 8 laps to go, we turn it over to Jacob Young for the green flag.
All right, Richard Holland to lead us to the once again. Ricky Fagona on his outside still, and on the inside, that's going to be Aiden Young. Then Michael Henry on that outside. So that is your top 4. All racing for, of course, a race win. A couple of drivers already locked into this, and a couple of drivers not necessarily a factor for this chase. But either way, pace car down and away, and we're back racing here at Texas Motor Speedway. another fantastic restart by the 31.
Yeah, good restart there by the 31 of Richard Holland, and I'm not surprised by that. We've seen it all night, Jacob. He gets out and away almost perfectly each night. Each restart, I should say.
Exactly, and that has gotten him at least about 3/10 race lead over Ricky Fagon, which is huge. But I believe they are able to catch up to him on the exit of turn 4, so that was a huge gain of time.
Yeah, so 6 laps to go at the stripe. And, you know, not a lot of racing left. Do you think we go green to the end here?
I believe we will. It's very possible for these racers to do exactly that. They are singling out in front. A couple of drivers going too wide, but I don't believe that that will cause a race incident, especially this late. I think if we do see a wreck, it will be when Richard most likely will cross the start-finish straight for one final lap.
Yeah, that is potentially true right there. I tell you what, Ricky Fagon, he's hanging with them, but I don't know if he's hanging with them quite enough, you know?
I definitely agree with you. It's very possible he has to, well, it's back to a 3/10 race lead, so that is a big problem there. He cut it to 2/10 about a lap ago, but of course lost one, so that's going to be a big thing. He's got basically 5 laps to do it, and well, 4.5 now, so that's going to be very challenging for him to do exactly that. Look at that. Aiden Young has cut that deficit and is looking to pass, actually, Ricky Fagon, so that could be potentially why the 31 car of Richard Holland gets this race win.
Yeah, very well might be, and 4 more laps to go here for Richard Holland. I don't see anything stopping him here tonight. I got to be honest with you. What about you?
Yeah, exactly. It's just too big of a gap. It's going closer to 4/10 now for Ricky Fagon. He's going to have to really gain time, and there's going to have to be a mistake from Richard Hall and maybe getting a little loose off of turn 4, as he just about did there. But it doesn't look like that's going to really slow him down.
And right here, only 3 more times around, 2 to go at the stripe. Richard Holland, I tell you what, he has ran a perfect race. He has led, you can count, 118 laps here tonight. And caution flag flies. And we'll go green-white checker. Jeff Martin, the driver, gone around. Looks like contact with Glenn Jameson. Both those guys into the outside wall. We'll be right back here on ASN. with 2 laps to go. Jacob Young getting us with the green flag.
All right, should be exciting once again. We might be going green for the final time. I believe they will have at least 2 tries at a green-white checkered. So if this one does not work, they will have one more attempt after this. But hopefully, of course, we won't have to use that one. Should be exciting. Start. Nonetheless, though, of course, it's going to be interesting. Richard Holland has led most of these laps, but will there be anything for Aiden Young or even Ricky Fagon to try and take this one away from him?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question there. My bet is going to be no. I think Holland gets away with the good restart, and I think that'll be it for the race. You know, I think Holland just got this thing figured out.
Yep, exactly. Pace car down and away. We're back racing here at Texas Motor Speedway. Another fantastic restart, but look at that. An overtake for 3rd place, and now a chance at 2nd.
Yeah, that is, I think, Michael Henry in the 15. We haven't really talked about him. I mean, you know, we talked about him once or twice here, but we haven't really mentioned him a lot tonight, but he is coming for the race lead. He might have a shot at this win. We got a lap to go at the stripe. Where is that number? Oh, caution flag's out. We'll do it again. Well, Michael Henry had a shot. Trent Ripley. Man, Trent Ripley has been in, what, 3-4 wrecks tonight. Looks like this one Ryan Daniels might have set off. Ripley, Steven, and I'm blanking out on the last name there on Steve's car there. Seegers. So Steve Seegers and... yeah, you see Ryan Daniels just makes contact with Trent Ripley there. Joseph Andujar gets a piece of it. If they were a few hundred feet later in that crash, they would have raced that one out. They would have gotten to the white flag. But they'll do it all over again. We'll be right back for that final restart. Well, we'll do it all one more time. Jacob Young calling the green.
All right, so here we go. One last restart here. Next flag will end the race, whether, of course, it'll be yellow or checkered, but I know for sure, or white flag or checkered or whatever. Either way, I know these drivers will be wanting to race this thing out, especially if you are the 15 car Michael Henry or even Aiden Young, even Ricky Fagon. They know that they have a shot, at least a small shot, of trying to take this win away from Richard Holland, although he's been the fastest driver of this race. Pace car down and away. We're back racing for the last time here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yep. And next flag ends it. It'll either be the caution or the checkered. Richard Holland, Michael Henry. I tell you what, that 15 car, I don't know where he came from, but he is shot out of the cannon here tonight, Jacob.
Exactly, especially running that high line. That's been the most impressive thing about the run. He's had the advantage on the high line, maybe not necessarily through the exit, but here they go. White flag in the air.
Final time around. Michael Henry, I tell you what, I think he's got a great shot at winning this race. Aiden Young gives the bumper to Richard Holland, but he might have given Holland the bump he needed to hold on to the race lead. I don't think Aiden Young was trying to do that, though.
Exactly, I think it was trying to move him up the racetrack.
It's going to be close.
Exactly.
Drag race to the start-finish line. Who's going to get it? Richard Holland, not by much. Michael Henry, Ricky Fagon, Aiden Young, Robinson, Peterson, Wilson, Overstreet, and the rest cycle across. Not by much, Richard Holland. Well, take it away with Richard Holland, race winner.
Richard Holland, how you doing?
I'm doing a lot better now.
Yeah, talk about it. You led the most laps tonight. You had the most dominant car, and it came down to the end. Take us through that last restart.
Man, that last restart was crazy. I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew Michael had a big jump on that last restart. I don't know if he was restarting in first gear or what, but he had a good restarts, and I know he made up some ground there on that last restart, and I didn't know what was going to happen. He stayed on the outside of me, and I wasn't able to really travel it out to the wall like I wanted to, so it got interesting.
All right, so how's the car handling for those long runs?
Actually, it handled pretty good. I thought the right front kind of burned off it. It got a little tight, but as long as you kept backing up the corners, and especially 1 and 2, it wasn't too bad really. It was a little tight, but it was comfortable to drive.
All right. So, any sponsors or anybody that you'd like to thank?
Just my team here, HJRM, and teammates, and Hal, and Ricky there. Ricky the 10 there. He's my teammate, and it was nice having him behind me all night. He didn't really pressure me. He could have a lot, but he didn't. And so that made it comfortable for me to just be able to run out front and concentrate on what I was doing and not have to worry about him. So that made it.
All right. Well, congratulations on a race win. Hopefully we get to talk to you next week when you win the race.
Yeah, I hope so. I appreciate it, man. Woo!
Next up on the interview block, it is going to be second place finisher Michael Henry. Michael, if you got a copy on me, man.
What's going on, guys?
Man, I tell you what, that was one of the most incredible runs to the front I have ever seen. Tell us about it.
Like I told y'all last week, it's all about saving tires, and it's one of the few things on this sim I'm good at.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say you had a lot of speed on Richard Holland there, and that run to the finish, if you had, what do you think you would have needed to win that race?
To start it where he was, to be in control of the start. That was the only way to win. I knew it was a sucker's gamble to try the top side, but I mean, you start on the outside pole, you got to try something. You can't fall in line because he's going to win.
All right. Well, any sponsors you want to mention?
Oh yeah, definitely. Big shout out to all the guys at Checker One Motorsports for getting me in this league. Turn Left Motorsports for giving me the night off from Road to Pro to come play again. Burger Roofing, Empire Electric for the real racing side, and my loving wife and child that lets me do this goofy.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to us, man. Great job on the second place finish.
Appreciate it, guys. Take it easy.
All right. Last up on the interview block, Ricky Fagone finished third. He'll talk to Jacob Young.
All right, Ricky, how you doing?
Good, Jacob. How you doing tonight?
I'm pretty great, especially after that finish here at Texas Motor Speedway. Take us through that last restart and what you really had to do.
Well, Michael ended up getting a good jump on me the restart before it and ended up really fucking almost passing me. Almost before the finish line, but he timed it perfect. Got the inside position. Of course, here it's hard to make anything happen on the outside. So that set me back in fourth place. And really, I just had to go on the leader and hope the guys got racing and kind of, I guess, look for almost a wreck a little bit. But we were in position. Didn't quite come home with a W, but third place isn't too shabby either. I'm pretty tickled with that. First time racing the track night, so a lot of fun.
All right, so how's that car handling for those long runs?
Well, I had usually long run speed at ovals. Usually fairly strong at them. I know this place, the way that turn one is, if you overdrive the entry or overdrive the exit, you really scrub a lot of speed off this thing, and getting that perfect balance through the center of the corner and obviously off without, not underpowering it, I guess. You can lose a lot of time that way the whole way around 3 and 4 if you don't get in the gas soon enough. So this place is real tricky now. I think it's a lot of fun to drive.
All right. Well, anybody that you'd like to thank, sponsors or anybody?
Well, I got to give Hal Amy a shout out. ACIRM with another win, another third place finish. So I guess as a team, we showed up pretty good. I know Hal, he had a strong